Alright boys, so we got the potential for Bullseye. We're going to test him out today at level 70 and level 80. I'm just going to go over the build real quick before we dive into things because it's pretty bare bones. We've got about 3 Odin's Blessings with the rest of the Uru like that. We've got the rank 4 type enhancement. We got Power of Angry Hulk, pretty straightforward, no artifact. And then we got a Mighty Rage. Now, it seems to be that his best game mode is going to be ABX as a replacement, or maybe a competitor with Gwenpool, so that is something to keep in mind. But he's frankly pretty easy to play, proc friendly if you want to go that route, so don't feel like Rage is your only option and you're locked into that from the get-go. His uniform options with Titania, Gamora, Blade, Professor X, and Beta Ray Bill are not terrible. Gamora and Beta Ray Bill are actually pretty good, and it's 3 out of 5 tier 4s, but yeah, overall not the greatest either. We're going to test him out here first at level 70, and I'll actually use Null as a comparison from about a month ago. Alright, so we're diving into Kang stage 14 here. We're going to delay 3 and then 6, 5, 4, and you just let it play out like that. He does a ton of damage with his Awakening skill. He doesn't do a lot of damage with his non-Awakening skill. You can also go 5 first, and then 3 cancel into 4. It really just depends on your reflexes and whether you're playing him for proc or you're playing him with a rage. If you're playing with a rage, you don't have to worry too much. I would say if you're playing him with a proc, you are much better off using 5 and 6 into 3, because 3's damage happens a lot sooner, so you have to sort of contend with that. Now, this is honestly not the best run, and we did get hit there by the explosion, but that's fine. But you can see we get there at about 410, 408. If we jump over to this clip, which was the live stream when we got Null, and you can see Null here is at level 70. In Null's case, he can use double support with Sin and Mysterio, whereas I have to use Green Goblin lead because Bullseye's lead is not very good. You can see against Kang, it's pretty similar. And I believe this build was either with like a 180 proc obelisk or with a CTP of energy, something like that. Like I think it was like a mighty CTP of energy, something like that. So very, very similar runtime to Null is not a bad place to be at all. But of course, level 70 is just the beginning. So let's go ahead and get him up to 80 and actually put him through his paces, because I think that's really what people are interested in. At the very baseline, you're going to be taking a character like this if you're going to be building him at all. To level 80. And for sure, I know there's a lot of you out there that never tier 4'd Mystique, and I understand why. And you probably never tier 4'd Gwenpool. So I think a level 80 comparison here is the best possible one, because obviously he'll do best at tier 4, no brainer there. But certainly for the average player, it's too much to ask for 1 day of ABX and whatever his performance is going to be for world boss content, and maybe GBR content on top of that. So we're going to wait and see here once we get him to 80. The Kill for Pleasure quest there. Remember that his tier 4 is actually quite potent. It gives him an attack buff, and then it gives him this juicy damage buff to enemies both above and below 50%. So very, very nice stuff there. His tier 4 is actually quite nice. I don't know how often it charges up. Like if it charges up with every rotation or every other rotation, that'll really matter. But it's just something to note here, because we talked about how he is proc friendly. You have to delay 3. If you just do 5, 3, 4 the way that they explain it in the skill preview, you'll see that you're only getting about 120 hits. Now that's still a lot of hits. You're like, only 120, Alex? Well, if you just delay the 3rd skill a little bit for when he throws this grenade, and you'll just like that, and then you do 5 you instant cancel 5 into 4, but you just let him throw that grenade, you now jump up to about 165 hits. So it's just a really, really short animation where you see his arm swing. You can interrupt him as soon as you start to see that arm swing. You can get really fast at it. It's literally less than a second. So it's not a long interruption, but you can see this adds easily 40 hits to your combo, 45 hits to your combo. It takes it up from like a 5-piece combo to like the family set with the extra biscuits. And same thing goes when you have the 6-up. And my recommendation for how you would play him with a proc is 6-5-3, and then when you see the swing, then you go into 4. That is how you should play him, mainly because, like I said, the explosion on 3 happens really fast, And pressing 3 and then dragging your finger over to press 5, 6, and then back to 4 is a lot more difficult than 6, 5, 3, and then 4, and you're done, right? So that's just my tip for you guys if you are playing him with a proc obelisk, or a CTP of energy or a CTP of destruction. Jumping now to stage 35 of Kang, we're going to use the same team here, 5, 6, 3, and then pop it into 4, and then we're going to splash in the 2 there, just to get a little bit of extra damage. He is still pretty fragile defensively, so you'll notice that any little hit is going to cause, you know, kind of like a warning sign on his HP bar because he just takes a lot of damage. But yeah, I can see that his damage, although it's pretty good with the Awakening skill up, it's not anywhere near enough to clear this stage, I believe. I could be wrong about this, but we're going to investigate here now when we pop this and see how much more damage. Yeah, it's just not enough, eh? Just about 3 bars worth of damage. Yeah, and he takes so much damage when he doesn't have his immunity up that he's not quite there. So this is a little bit disappointing. If you're wondering why I went all the way up to 35, you might think that's a bit of an overreaction. Well, I wanted to keep the trend of comparing him to Null the same. And I know what you're thinking. That's not really a fair comparison, Alex. Null is a native tier 3. He's a world boss. And sure. But in this situation, it's a very equal comparison because you have the exact same team up with both Green Goblin and Mysterio. You have no strikers. And then you also have Null, in this case, using a Mighty Rage. I went back in the footage and I checked. And at this point, I had equipped Null with a Mighty Rage. If you don't believe me, you can watch the footage. I'm not going to show you because there's no point in showing you that particular footage of me equipping it. It's there. It's public. Anyone can access this information. But as you can see, at around 402, 405 actually, Null is able to complete this fight at level 80. Now, again, I know what you're saying. Null is a lot more expensive. There's a lot more investment than Bullseye. But as you can see here, he's like twice as fast. So, again, for the investment that I believe a lot of players are going to end up on, which is level 80, tier 3, or level 80 transcended, and no further, that's really what you can expect, which is about half as strong and less than half as tanky, I should say that as well, as Null. Now, I don't think I need to make the video to encourage any of you to build Null. You know, he really like speaks for himself in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I do want to make that comparison. Now we're going to jump into a different comparison, not comparison here, but we're going to jump into another test for ABX. I believe he has all 3 of the ABX cancels, so you don't have to worry about it. This is just a test run anyways. But we're going to do the same rotation here. 6, 5, 3, 4, and then we can splash in the 2 and the 1 while we're waiting for 5 and 3 to come off cooldown. Now, ideally, you also want to have that rage proc, the extra rage proc, activate with every rotation. I wasn't skilled enough to have it activate on that one, so we kind of just have to live with that. But here we are going to get it to fall, and you'll be able to see how much damage he is putting down. I'm going to do 6, 5, 3, and then pop the 4, and see that damage come and trickle in. Okay. Over 7 million now, pretty nice. He got lots of delays from the, oh, but not enough, I guess, from the paralysis. But yeah, boom, he activates the effect right away to cancel, which is quite nice. And there we go. The other thing I want to point out here, specifically for Bullseye, but it also applies to Gwenpool, and I've complained a lot about it with Gwenpool, is he does not have guard break immunity. And he does get guard broken. His invincibility is quite short. I believe it's like 3 or 4 seconds. So you can get guard broken and interrupted at the beginning of your rotation when the Frost Beast jumps. So just keep that in mind during the 5, before you get into 3 and 4, where he has iframes and stuff like that. You can get interrupted. Like, well, I was actually trying to recreate the interruption, but I wasn't able to. You can get interrupted, and it's quite annoying. So just keep that in mind. Whenever the Frost Beast jumps, yeah, lots of speed. Villains who don't have guard break immunity and get guard broken, or they don't even necessarily need guard break immunity. They just need to have invincibility on a long skill, like a lot of invincibility, right? Longer than 3-4 seconds, or have it at the very beginning of the rotation, right? Have it on the 5, and then you're good to go. But unfortunately, Netmarble likes to screw with us, so we don't get that. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, he's doing quite well. Already 12 million here before the the last roar, which is very, very nice. Gonna go in here and rip this one for a juicy like 400,000 almost, which is nice. There you can see him get guard broken. So he got knocked back there. It didn't really matter in that case that he got knocked back, but it's good for you to see it so that you know it. And if it happens to you, you're like, oh, okay. I know other content creators have talked about this already, but I just wanted to cover it as well because I complain about it with Gladiator and others, and it's definitely worth mentioning. Here I'm going to hold off on the 1 and the 2 because I want to use the Mighty Rage ability, the Enrage proc here with this last push. I have to say I'm not really impressed with the score. 14 million, just under 14 million is not that good. It didn't add much from level 70. So that's another thing to mention there for you guys that are just going to keep him at level 80. It doesn't really help. Getting him from 70 to 80 honestly added for me. What about a solo GBR? I don't know if I'm going to be disappointed or not by this, but I just wanted to see how much that initial rotation rips for and if I'd be disappointed or not. And yeah, I'm disappointed. That's crazy. It does exactly 40 bars, which doesn't even let me do an iframe ignore skill, because I believe he has an iframe ignore skill, to just waste more time here. That's crazy. That's nuts, dude. Yeah. Okay. And then here's, yeah, this is the kind of depresso part of things. His regular rotation does so little damage when you don't have his 6 skill buffs up that you waste so much time. But then the other problem is you don't want to pop the rotation with the 6 now and waste it for when Dormammu respawns. Yeah, this is rough, eh? This is not looking good. Okay, let's do one more rotation here. Pop in the 1 and the 2 pre, so I make sure the Enrage pops off. Yeah, like 7 bars is not terrible. It's not terrible. It's just without it, he's so weak. He's really Iron Man without the suit here. Yeah, we're almost a minute and a half into this. That's crazy. And we're not even at the... And this is a solo run. Yeah, this is... I mean, the tier 4 has to be helping a ton, right? The tier 4 has to be helping a ton. It might be tier 4 or bust for this guy. Genuinely. Genuinely more than 90 seconds to get to the last phase change is crazy. So boys, despite this showcase being a bit of a letdown for level 70 and level 80 Bullseye, I wanted to go back in one more time and check out at level 80 now if he makes short work of Kang. And you know what? I'm okay, that's pretty good. 12-second phase 1. 12-second for the first half of his health bar. Not bad. So this is like a 30-second clear if you have the juice for it. That's not bad. That's not bad. I genuinely think he's a pretty solid level 70. Got nice burst damage, easy to play, proc friendly. That's my bad. That's not Bullseye. He's a little bit squishy, for sure. Because I don't think level 80 is really helping Bullseye out that much, it becomes a bit trickier, and I think it is a situation of tier 4 or bust for him after this review initially. There may be more testing that needs to be done, and I may change my opinion, but for now, that's sort of what I'm leaning to, which kind of sucks. However, I still think at level 70, it's something to consider, especially if you didn't invest in Gwenpool and then possibly even Mystique. I think Bullseye is a solid alternative to both, a very good alternative to Mystique, although Bullseye doesn't have support abilities like Mystique. In the case of Gwenpool, she does have the advantage of having Pierce. She has 4% Pierce native on her kit that he doesn't have, and then she also has auto healing, so she does have a couple of bonuses that he doesn't have. Gwenpool is definitely a lot tankier than Bullseye. The advantages that Bullseye has over Gwenpool, besides like the aesthetics, if you prefer that, is I'd say he's a little bit easier to play, and he is easier to play proc friendly if you want to do that. Gwenpool, I don't think is that proc friendly. I could be wrong, but from my experience and my memory, she was a little bit less proc friendly, particularly on the tier 3 rotation, because it lasts so long, it ends up bleeding over, and you end up accidentally procking and then wasting it. Whereas with Bullseye, he has a nice, like a huge burst of damage, but it's a short burst, and he has a lot of time in between, so you basically can't miss procs unless you're sort of trying to brick them. But yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Bullseye and this uniform, and what you want to see next on the channel. Thank you so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.